Madam President, we're out here talking about the FAA bill, a bill to improve the transportation system in America, dealing with our airwaves. And there's a lot of great things about this legislation, everything from a passenger bill of rights to improvement in airport infrastructure that many of my colleagues have been out here on the floor talking about. Even the presiding officer articulated why it's so important to make improvements in our ground-based system so that you can improve practically every elected official in America knows that airports are a cornerstone of economic development. No business is going to locate in a community without knowing what the air transportation system is. And if it's falling behind, if it's dilapidated, people are going to go somewhere else for their economic development. So improving the ground transportation system as part of the airport infrastructure is critically important for improving jobs in America. So I know that my colleagues are out here offering amendments, and the pending amendment is the Paul Amendment, which is a very concerning amendment from the prospects of what it would do to cut the innovation that we're about to implement in this FAA bill, the long-standing improvements to the federal aviation system that have to do with taking our airways from a 1950s technology to really 21st century technology that improves both the situation for the pilots in the sky and the efficiency of our system, and it improves and coordinates the communication system on the ground. All of that also increases jobs in America, high-wage jobs. It puts America back in the driver's seat in the development of key technology, and those are the kind of jobs in manufacturing that we want to be creating in America. So when my colleague from Kentucky comes out and offers a proposal to basically slow down the implementation by the FAA on key employees in these areas that are part of the technology and infrastructure, what you're really going to do is slow down high-wage manufacturing jobs in the United States as well. Now, this legislation, with both the improvements to the airport infrastructure and what is with the next-gen system going to take place with new technology, we are talking about thousands of new jobs in America. And we certainly want those manufacturing jobs to be here in the United States and to get the benefits of this next-gen system. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about that next-gen transportation system and why it is so important to us in creating jobs. Because when my colleague may not realize from Kentucky that you actually cut people and you cut the number of programs that are geared towards this, like in the next-gen system. You're talking about the RE&D program could be reduced as much by 25 million. Then funding for areas like how to do self-separation, weather technology in the cockpit, wake turbulence. I don't know about the presiding officer, but I fly a lot back and forth across the country almost every week, and some of the pilots I've been flying with have said they have never, this has been the most turbulent weather this winter that they've seen. So I know personally I want to know as much about this and the latest technology that can help us. But under this proposal, estimated loss of jobs and cutbacks in grant programs in targeted areas, again, could mean the loss of expertise in R&D that's critical for us in our flying transportation system and safety. So what are we talking about when we're talking about the next-gen system? We are talking about the improvements in flight performance and improvements in the passenger experience and improvements in basically even how we use fuel. What I like about the next-gen system most is that it reduces total flight delays by 21%. Now, that's not the day we pass the bill or when the president signs it, but over time, the implementation of this system, which again is a very old 1950 system, so it's basically radar. So it's taking a picture in the sky and saying, here's where planes are, and having air traffic controllers talk to those planes and control, and even in pass-off movements, control where those flights are going. In fact, I would say, Madam the presiding officer, I don't know if you've ever played, Flight Simulator or had anybody in your family. There's probably more certainty and predictability in the movement in Flight Simulator than in that radar system that we have today. But we're going to change that. What this does is, by allowing for more accurate tracking and interface and information, the ability to have flights fly on a more direct path, to be able to coordinate better with flights and transportation, and to have that system totally integrated on the ground. So even those kind of flight delays that happen on the ground at airports where you're waiting and taxiing at the airport and, oh, this flight is here and that flight is there, all of that will be more improved. And in fact, that improvement, the estimates are, will reduce carbon dioxide emissions by the air transportation system by 12%. So that's a very positive aspect of moving forward on next generation. And obviously, if you are improving flight delays by 21%, I guarantee you are going to be improving the passenger experience. And when they know that we are trying to get to them where they need to go on time in a better coordination fashion and saving, it really helps us. But it also is going to improve the ground transportation system. And if you think about that, our ground transportation system is always in need of coordination. We've actually had some accidents on runways. People have heard those in the news over the last several years. So what this does, when you, again, have a GPS system, the GPS system is coordinating that, so you have better coordination of the taxiing of planes and airport vehicles and the entire ground transportation system. That should not be minimized. The fact that we can imagine how a GPS system can give us better data in the sky is important, but there is a lot that is lost on the ground with flights and the coordination of flights. And if you can imagine, just one of my personal pet peeves, when you fly all the way across the country and you end up at your destination after 5.5 hours and no one is there to meet the plane, or it takes an extra 10 minutes because somehow somebody didn't know the plane was actually at the gate, all of that changes with the system. You know exactly where the plane is, and you know when they're going to be at that gate after they've landed. You know exactly how long it's going to take for them to taxi and how long they're going to get there. So that is a great improvement in this system and something that shouldn't be underestimated. But the issue of safety is also of critical importance. And the fact that safety in any kind of improvement to our system has to be the paramount issue, to me, that is what NextGen delivers. It delivers better air traffic controller information. It means that there is no routing pass-offs as we do now when you're flying in between cities. At some point in time, Seattle is tracking you and I leave Seattle, and at some point in time it's handed over to another sector and then to another sector and to another sector. This situation is going to have accurate information all the way across, no pass-offs or challenges with pass-offs, and it's going to give the pilots themselves better situational awareness. It's giving them more information about how they fly and about the information on the runway. And so that's critically important for this system. We want safety. We want safety. We want advancement. So in a lot of ways, my colleague, may be well-intentioned in trying to come and say, let's reduce our budget. But when you look at these numbers and you look at what the next generation system is going to deliver, you don't want to cut that out of the government system. These are things that are going to give you efficiencies. They're going to help our economy. They're going to create jobs, and they are going to improve the safety of air transportation travel. And Madam President, I can tell you, I certainly want to improve the safety and the situational awareness of pilots. I mentioned fuel efficiency, and I want to talk about fuel efficiency for a second because I know that fuel efficiency is an issue where the flying public may think, well, why do you want planes to be more efficient? The more the transportation system uses fuel, obviously the more expensive we have seen, gas prices going up. It means our transportation tickets and prices are more expensive. So if you can start driving with this next generation system, more fuel efficiency in your air flights by 5 or 6%, then you are going to help keep the efficiency in the transportation system. This pilot program on something like Next Generation was done by Southwest Airlines in a pilot project in Texas, and it actually demonstrated a 6% fuel savings for flights between Dallas and Houston. By that I mean it showed how giving pilots more information, being allowed because of a satellite system-like approach to transportation instead of radar, they are able to fly a more direct route from takeoff to destination. That efficiency translates into savings in the fuel cost, and it alone is a very, very important aspect to the system. So the net of this is high-wage jobs for us in this particular sector, and when you think about this, it's high-wage jobs in engineering, in software development, and other high-tech workers that are part of developing this system, and it is in the jobs for the flight crews and maintenance and basically everybody who benefits from the fact that we have a traveling public and tourism in our economy. So I hope my colleagues will turn down the amendment by the senator from Kentucky. All of these things are very, very positive aspects of the next generation system and the improvements to our air transportation. This amendment would cut the viability of many of these programs within the next gen system and the jobs that can be created from this particular legislation. It is definitely long overdue, something that the public is expecting from us. I mentioned, Madam President, that there is a passenger Bill of Rights here, which in and of itself is a very positive aspect of the legislation, giving access anytime there's a delay on the runway, that you have to make sure that there is access to food and water and to necessary medical treatment, and basically the Department of Transportation can issue fines for noncompliance of airlines. And I know many of the traveling public will love this particular aspect of this important FAA legislation. So I hope that we can dispose of this amendment by my colleague from Kentucky and move on to passing this important legislation. It is about jobs, it is about safety, it's about fuel efficiency, it's about on-time arrival, and it's about not gutting this legislation when it's needed most to be passed by this body. So I thank the President, and I see my colleague from Washington is also here to speak, and I will turn the floor over to her.